its current form, or this bill, in its current form that has been passed by Parliament, address the main objective of the promotion of the anti-LGBTQ plus activities, or it is an empty law as has been described by both Mr. Bentil and
naturally, yeah, you see, in matters like this, it depends on where you sit. It depends on where you sit. So, yes. As for principle, I've always said it from day one that, or even before this bill, I've represented LGBTQ people. I've represented them over the years. Yeah, I'm a lawyer. The fact that a person is LGBTQ doesn't mean that he doesn't he rhymes, right? Even the last time there was a big party in Accra some 2-3 years ago. Yeah, and a lot of my colleagues in the law firm, we went.
Oh, so you are their friends?
Yes, say so. I really don't mind because look, they are human. All this while, you see, I've not been very vocal in this debate because I've been consistent from day one that I know some of them say they are scared, etc. You know, our society is very conservative. They don't want to pay the price for stigma, etc. So they've chosen to be quiet. And I say, now if you the one in the situation, you don't want to pay any price, then I can't also grind my credibility to ashes. Yes, exactly. I can't be more Catholic than the Pope.
You make your point.
Yes, so no, it's fine. So and it's good preliminary. So that's how come you don't see me being at the forefront of this fight because if you're in a situation you need help, show your face. We need a poster child. So amongst all this, when I keep saying there are some of them privately we know who are very successful lawyers. You are very successful at that age in life. You are not willing to show your face as the poster child, so that you see, like we say locally, that ni penny me drew. Okay, so when you show your face, you are likely to invoke compassion, etc. But none of them is willing to. So
are you saying there are LGBTQ people who are successful lawyers?
Yes, there are some who are lawyers and some are doctors. Every profession, they are in there and they don't want to pay any price. So if you don't want to pay any price, the stigma that comes with it, then why should I be the one to crash my reputation out of my comfort? You remember, I say this because the first time I said something that I thought that with time, eventually we would be more accommodative of their situation. Famoni said, I would not live to see that day. Yeah, some 5-6 years ago. Yeah, if you can Google it. The first time I said it, that look, natural, I'm not promoting it, okay, I'm not. But I said that from the way societies evolve, etc., yes, at the beginning you will find very vociferous, very antagonistic statements, etc., against the practice of LGBTQ. But as we develop, as we become more enlightened, we will be compelled through that social evolution, through that social refinement to accommodate them. And just for saying that, you know, Moses Fuamoni said, I would not live to see that day. You know? Well, we'll see who will have the last laugh. Yeah, we'll see who will have the last laugh. Because you see now, you look at the bill, and what we are saying in the bill, okay, and I'm sure that's why it's been passed. We are here to see the passed version.
Yes.
But one of them is that the bill says that they're seeking to prohibit people from harassing and intimidating gay persons. Yes, so it's prohibited. It's prohibited. Harassing. Yeah, you find the memorandum. Yes. So that's not read it, so go ahead. Yes, so they're saying that please, you have not read. It's an offense to harass and beat them up, they ridicule them, etc. No, because you see, they're human, except that in our society they don't want to show their faces. That's how come they can't get as much protection as would have been desired. I'm sure with time, now that this bill has been passed, with time, they would come up. Look at
this bill is exactly the reason why they won't show their faces.
No, they won't. Yeah, that's protection. And the part that says that you can't. Yes, I see protection because look, with this, these are several huge steps forward. It's better than the old regime, where we just had the section 104 saying that, look, if we catch you, a man sleeping with a man is an offense.
So this is an improvement.
Yes.
But if it's an improvement, well, let's say so.
Okay,
so if it's an improvement, when we have a problem,
none of you is being heard. None of you is being heard. Let us be able to continue.
So I'll give you this example. You know, there's Wesley Streeting, the health, he's just resigned, the previous health minister of the UK.
Yes.
You see, he's gay, and he's never hidden it. And you know, currently, I mean, it's possible he will eventually become prime minister, but he's not hiding his gay identity. The point I'm making is that, so you see, having shown his gay identity, of course, there are people in his society who would chastise him, people who would berate him for that. Yes. But the larger majority of the citizens kind of don't have a problem. I mean, for the fact that he's running to become prime minister, because, I mean, if Andy Burnham doesn't make it, it's likely West Streeting will become prime minister of the UK. Gay, openly gay, young man, is it 37 or something like that?
Yes.
Forgotten the exact age. So you see that, so the lawyers here, the doctors, etc., who say they will not show their faces, they are cowards. You have to. You don't want to pay any price at all. Why should we be the ones suffering? Yeah, we've suffered enough. Why should we be the one? And some are even very, very successful. Some to the extent that if they stopped working today, they would eat till they die. Their grandchildren will come and meet that wealth.
The lawyers who are LGBT.
Yes. So you want to hide in there, get all the master briefs, then we come and sit here, take all the insults, and then you prosper in privacy. I mean, what kind of hypocrisy is this? I mean, you see, so please.
Nobody has any business going after anybody because of their sexuality.
Yes, so that's
the old bill was bad, the new one is also bad.
So please, let's note aspects. So the bill makes it clear that one of the aims of the bill is to ensure that we are complying with the SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. Specifically, the bill mentions Goal 10, avoiding discrimination, etc. So we don't want these persons to be ridiculed. We don't want them to be harassed.
It criminalizes.
Yes.
It criminalizes it. So if you come out, you become a criminal.
Sophie, you have not read
I don't think so.
This generally,
I don't think so.
So that
I think that this generally moves it forward. You see, you won't get everything at a go. You see, society evolves gradually. It's just like the institutions we see today, where we sit today. We evolve gradually. You can't get, as Prof. Jampo is mentioned, in our society, you remember previous times that this bill has been up for comment, I've been saying that, look, millions of our citizens are hungry. I come to sit here advocating for better economic opportunities for our citizens, those who are poor. All right? So you are talking about over 10 million of our citizens who live on less than $2.15 a day. So that's in simple language. Some people can't afford even 30 Ghana cedis a day. Can you imagine? So those are the people we are here for, trying to hold government accountable so that government will come up with better policies to be able to help these people, people's rents, people's electricity bills, people's medical bills, etc. So I've always said that, look, when it's time for this bill, that is what I want to discuss. Yes, so I've always said that, but eventually the bill has been passed, and so I'll shift a bit to give a bit of education that our parliament in passing this bill, which the president has assented to, is saying that we are trying to move up. We're trying to show we are a civilized society by openly making it an offense for people to harass LGBT people,
right,
for people to intimidate them, okay, for people to seek to deny them medical attention, etc., on grounds of their sexuality, for people to deny them legal services, all the other exceptions you've seen. Right. So for me, it's an improvement. But as I keep saying, the last word is that the big people in that community who don't want to show their face, I think they are doing a great disservice to the gay community and a great disservice to Ghana. If you insist that that's how God created you, what's the shame about showing your face?
The law says it's a crime.
No, but when you insist, you show your face, eventually it will change. That's why I started by saying that in our Twi language, you hear you say, okay, infantry, etc. Alright? So when you show your face, so if you see that Esimesi is gay, then people begin to say, oh, but is that not the lawyer who helped me in this case? The lawyer who did this. Then you see that it begins to present a different story. So you see that, okay, the person is gay, but he's functional in other areas. He's helped the society. It helps in the thinking. But these guys have chosen to hide in the closet, harming their own communities. Because, and as I said, the worst part is those who are very successful. We who haven't made much in life, come here and talk about everything. We are not scared, from Mampam to etc. We are still alive. And then you have made tons of cash and you've decided to hide your face. Come on.
Thank you. As we round up.
No. So
I'm done.
Yeah, you are done. Yeah, thank you. So, but Martin, I think I want to still make the point here so that Kofi Bentil and Co would understand. We live in a society. We are in a certain epoch of our democratic progression that goes with certain human rights. And I'm saying that at this particular point in time, the good people of Ghana says they don't want LGBT. And they have insisted that their parliament passes a legislation to give meaning and effect to what they want, their wishes and aspirations. And so should that be.
Okay. Alfred, this legislation doesn't talk about what. No, why are you cutting me? You allowed him.
No, but why? Must you always say something?
Come again.
Must you always respond?
There's a message that you respond to, and a number of messages have come to. Let me just clear. We'll go into the flats right now.
I feel bullied.
Tafa in Amra here. Good morning, Alfred and your panelists. So now you said the NPP members are telling us that the law was not signed by President Akufo Addo because it was bad then. This, you say, is dishonesty because I thought they said that someone had gone to court and put injunction on the bill. Therefore, President Akufo Addo can't sign it. No, that's what I referenced. A path that we've taken twice, because this bill was first passed by the 8th Parliament, and this 9th Parliament has had to go on it again because the president did not assent, the former president did not assent to this bill becoming law after Parliament did its work. We've seen this again, but there's been some amendments to the details of the bill as we knew it. It criminalizes advocacy and promotion of LGBTQ plus activities, promotion of LGBT activities, advocacy in support of LGBT rights or activities, public encouragement or sustained support for prohibited acts, distribution or publication of related materials in certain contexts, media or technological dissemination aimed at children. This is the context, because now there's some exemption to it that media can do this, but it shouldn't be aimed at children. Now, the restrictions involving children and media, the bill prohibits producing, broadcasting, distributing, or publishing materials directed at children if the intention is to encourage interest in prohibited acts or teach children to explore gender identities outside the male and female binary. Also, restrictions involving children in internet platforms, electronic devices, films, broadcast media, other technological forms, adoption and foster care restrictions. The bill bars persons identified under LGBTQ plus categories from adopting children or being granted foster care arrangements. The category listed for the adoption and foster care restrictions: lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and also pansexual, non-binary, other identities considered contrary to the binary categories of male and female. Duty to report offenses. A person who knows an offense has been committed under the Act must report it to the police or community authority. Community authorities receiving reports must forward them to the nearest police station within 3 days. This effectively places responsibility on individuals, community leaders, traditional authorities, local officials. The bill also includes a clause prohibiting verbal abuse, physical assault, harassment, or extrajudicial treatment of persons identified as also LGBTQ people. Violation could attract imprisonment ranging from minimum 3 months, maximum 3 years. The proposed amendments also create exceptions for legal representation, court submissions, academic, scientific, and medical publications. They can do all this even if you are identified as LGBT, health-related programs, counseling and medical services, journalism in the ordinary course of reporting, HIV/AIDS prevention and care. All these are exemptions as well. This appears intended to shield lawyers, journalists, doctors, researchers, public health organizations from criminal liability when performing legitimate professional duties. The bill introduces or revises definitions for marriage, intersex, non-binary, romantic relations, family values. The proposed definition of marriage is specifically defined as a union between a man and a woman whose sexes are determined at birth. At birth. And it goes on and quite some detail. You'll find portions of it as we serialize on 3news.com. But no, it's okay.
No. He signaled to me.
No, I've not done that, but I will graciously do it.
I'm going on a path. There's a reason why. Mr. Bentil, let me start off with you.
All right, so
the concern of the minority, for instance, and other CSOs who the difference and amendments that have been made to this this bill that has been passed. But what's the issue, really?
So it's 9:41.
Okay, Babu is timing. By the way, I wanted him to start.
Yes.
This I should start. So see, look, when these arguments started, and by the way, the arguments about LGBT, I remember back in President Atamel's time, it came up, and I remember myself and my sister Nana Bampo Addo, Nanoye, okay, we were advocating in a certain line, and I remember the kind of blowback we got. That, hey, why are we protecting it? I kept quiet about that. Now, I'm taking it from there because the issues are not new. Now, the old law, okay, a couple of things that must be clear. One, this new bill, this new law is not the old one. In other words, the one they took to Nana Addo to sign is not the one they are taking to President Mahama to sign. Okay, and the question is this. Why are they not taking the same law to President Mahama to sign? Because of some of the things that were said in the previous law. The previous law was bad, very, very bad. And let me explain why it is so bad. It was so wide, and indeed this one too, in a sense, is said that anything you do, if you are a doctor and you treat an HIV person who turns out to be LGBT, you could have been arrested and put in jail. It was really bad for many, many, many reasons. Apart from the fact that nobody has any business trying to determine what people do in their bedrooms as long as they don't come out and put it in our faces. And that's the problem we have with some of these people who try to, live their lifestyles in our face. That's what we don't want. But in terms of that, our existing laws on public decency, we have laws on public decency. You can't strip naked in the street, and you can't do certain things in the street. Okay, in fact, the police have stretched it, beyond a certain point. I hear they arrest people who are sitting in their cars and that kind of thing. Yeah. It's the use of some of those laws, all right, even though sometimes I think it's abused. Those laws are enough to take care of some of these things. Now, this new law has been watered down by taking out all of these things that you have, some of these things that you've spoken about. In effect, it has made nonsense of the whole law.
So it made nonsense that this law is not efficient enough.
It has made nonsense of it because
it's not efficient enough to address this.
Let me tell you what, it does not address the LGBT, containment issue at all. What it only does is gives people an excuse to attack LGBT people or people they believe are aiding or abetting LGBT people. The nature of the law is that, you see, law is about interpretation. The nature of this law is that it can be interpreted by the person who hates you, okay, against you, and used against you. So let me give you an example. If they say, one of the things you put up there was that something about education.
Yes, one moment.
Put it back. I'll show you how it can be interpreted both ways.
Yes. So this is so adoption, foster, restrictions involving children and media, and under which category?
So look at encourage interest in prohibited acts. Listen, if you say encouraging interests in prohibited acts is a crime, what if the person is teaching people the things that LGBT people do, which they must watch out, avoid, and not do? That is encouraging interest. You are encouraging interest in things that are prohibited. Okay? So there's an intention clause there. Okay,
Yes.
but here, if you find somebody educating children that this is what these people do, when a man says this and that, you are encouraging interest in LGBT actions with the intention that you are trying to prevent the children from going. You can be arrested. And if you don't get a good adjudication, it will be interpreted against you that encouraging interest. If you are treating somebody and you are now, basically educating them about certain aspects of whatever. My point is that the nature of this law, if you read it, it can be interpreted this way or that way.
Right.
So it just gives power to people who want to hurt other people, okay, to go ahead and do so. I personally think that we should be careful how we proceed in these things, okay? But there's a political issue and then there's a substantive issue. The political issue is that the NDC has shown serious insincerity and hypocrisy in this matter by sending a bill to NAPO that they themselves are not willing to send to their president. And that is proof enough, and NAPO is vindicated for not signing it. If they are sincere, if they are not hypocrites, if they want that bill that some judge and co jumped on rooftops to scream and shout about, upon which they won some of the votes in the last election, they should send the same bill to President Mahama. They can't, they won't, they shouldn't. And I support that they shouldn't. But in doing that, they should even scrap this whole thing altogether. If somebody gives you water and says, drink, Alfred, and then for some reason, that person has to drink the same water and they refuse to drink it, then you know it's poison. Okay. So it was wrong in the first place and they knew it. Shame on them.
Well, Professor Jampo, on this, whether the details as we have it is not going to achieve the objective or the purpose of containing the LGBTQ activities in this country. The main reason why we even went on this path of having this bill passed by Parliament previously and even just yesterday. Now, Kofi Bentil says there's an element of hypocrisy in there, although the amendments have been applied, as it were, based on the engagement. And when this matter came up in Parliament, the position was that there had been engagement with civil society, and civil society made the inputs. Reason why these amendments were actually taken into consideration by Parliament itself and not just one side of the House. Prof.
Well, I don't know what Kofi meant by the bill should not have been sent and they shouldn't have been sent. At the same time, he said they should have. They should have sent the old bill,
yes,
which he felt. Okay, he feel the old bill was bad.
Yes.
He said they should have sent.
Yes.
He said they shouldn't have sent.
No.
And now, he claims they didn't send, and he has an issue. You
don't understand.
He said they shouldn't have sent it to President Akufo Addo.
Yes.
And now he's saying he claims they didn't send it to President Mahama, and he has an issue with that. I'm a bit confused. But you see, let me. So I think he's just contradicting himself. If it was, you claim it was bad then, and it shouldn't have been sent at that time, and so something may have then been done on it, and you are still complaining, and then I don't see where you are coming. But you see, there are 4 main stages of democratic progression, and each of the stage has its own human rights that it allocates to people. The first stage is called authoritarianism. Under authoritarian rule, you have no rights. Your rights are the ones that the dictator prescribes. If he says you should sleep, you sleep. A country moves from authoritarianism to an electoral democratic status or a transitional democratic status. Now, within a transitional democracy, the only human right that is prevalent, but that is not fully developed, is political rights. So the right to speak, criticize the government, the right to contest elections, the right to hold elections, whether they are free or fair is not really the issue. Yeah. But it's only political rights that are so prevalent in a transitional democracy. What we call ECOSOC rights, economic, cultural, and social rights, are not fully developed in a transitional democracy. Ghana is a transitional democracy. Now you move from transitional democracy to go to get into liberal democracy, where all the human rights are developed. So you have political rights fully developed there. When you hold elections, it must necessarily also be free free, fair, peaceful, and transparent.
Yes.
Economic, social, and cultural rights are also developed. And then you move from there to advanced liberal democracy. That is where the people claim access and ownership to human rights, sometimes well beyond imaginations of others. I've been in a country where people had claimed access and ownership to certain rights that you wonder. Somebody had parked his car there. We went for a party. Somebody had parked his car and he wanted to move the car. Then somebody went to stand behind the car. Please, excuse me, I want to move the car. I said, I'm a tree. I have the right to be where I am. I'm a tree, so I can't move. And the guy said, but I have to move. I said, no, I'm a tree. I have a right to become whoever I want to be. And so I'm a tree, I can't move. So this guy also, then if you're a tree, then let me go for a chainsaw. He also went to pick a chainsaw, started it, and then suddenly the person who said he was a tree had to. So that is when you get to that point where people claim ownership and access to human rights beyond human imagination. Now, coming back to the point I want to, Ghana is a transitional democracy. So some of these things that some people would want to claim ownership and access to, like LGBT, you can't have it, okay, in our part of the world. We have a culture and we have a standard way of doing things. We say we don't like LGBT. And if we say we don't like LGBT, so be it. We have gone ahead to make a law that criminalizes some of these tendencies. And this is what the people of Ghana say they want. And government must pay heed to them. We saw the owners, Professor Michael Kwe, who taught me, referred to some category of people as the owners of the land, okay? And here he's referring to the various civil society organizations, the community heads, the clergy, the chiefs, the imams, and all those people. If all coalesce, they've all come together to say that, no, this one, we cannot allow it. And so when even the act, this law that has now been passed, when it was passed then and it was not assented to, I mean, we had a lot of issues and complaints and criticisms. When President Mahama became president and then suddenly people tried to make partisan politics with this, and in that case decided to misinform the Ghanaian citizenry, not helping all of us to understand that if you initiate a process that goes through the parliamentary process and it doesn't terminate and a new parliament comes, you have to start all over. So when the whole process had to be started again, some people deliberately interpreted it as a cold feet to this whole idea, and I thought it was unfortunate, but it went on. That as it may, today we are told that the bill has been passed. It is on its way to President Mahama to assent to it. Now I'm hearing some people also commenting that some aspects of the bill,
it's a watered down bill.
Have been watered down. But I'm asking myself, was it one person who sat down to do that so-called watering down? I heard them saying that a committee did some work on the bill. Was the committee made up of a certain caliber of people alone, or it was bipartisan? Clearly, given the way and manner we have done things in our parliament, I don't think that committee that did the work was a one-man dominated committee. It would definitely have people from across the political divide. And so if people say that it has been watered down and on, so are we saying that now we no longer need that bill? We don't need it, and so we should go back to ground zero or the status quo? I don't think that is what the people of Ghana. I've heard the Catholic bishop commending Parliament for passing. I've heard other civil society organizations, or those who, the Christian community, for instance, and the Muslim community, all coming out to say that, look, this is what we wanted, it's been done, and then let's move with it. But for the partisan people to want to puncture holes in it, and in my view, that is normal. The history of our Fourth Republic show that, look, in Ghana, they will tell you that this is what we want to do. If you do it, we'll still criticize you. So whether you do it or you don't do it, when it was being delayed, the regime was subjected to serious criticism. Now it's been done. It is on its way to be assented to. And then still we are finding, and I'm sure by the time President Mahama assent to it, people may even have a problem with the way and manner he assented to. And so criticism in our part of the world is normal, but sometimes I get worried when it is made to degenerate into unnecessary propaganda in a manner that insults the intelligence of the good people of Ghana. I'm talking about that criticism or that kind of wanting to be so cynical that if it is white and all Ghanaians know that it is white, you want to say that it is black. That is insulting to the intelligence of the good people of Ghana.
Okay.
And so for me, this is what the good people of Ghana want. They demonstrated that they wanted it. It's been passed. It is going to President Mahama. And I'll be happy if it is signed to serve as, to ensure that we have a blueprint that protects our culture, our tradition, and ensure that as a society, we must have a standard. Professor Kwe told me this, that every society worth its salt must have a standard. Without standard, we do not have a society. It is because we have a standard that's how come when you pick a food and you want to eat, you put it in your mouth. You don't pick food and put it in your armpit and say, do, and then they ask you and they say, I have the right to put the food anywhere, in any part of my body.
Thank you, Professor Jampo. Now, and Kwesi, because of the point Professor Jampo made about if concerns were raised about the previous bill and the content and nature of that bill, if those concerns have been addressed in the current bill and amendments made to reflect those concerns, why then do you describe this as a watered down bill? It's hypocritical of this administration and that you only did politics with the previous instance? If those concerns have now been reflected and inculcated in this one.
You didn't like it. It has been, they've been addressed.
Don't worry, Prof. Since you don't understand, I'll help you to understand it. You see, let me state.
I don't understand.
You say you don't understand. Don't worry.
Kofi Bentil's concerns.
I mean, there's a panel.
Well, you share Kofi Bentil's.
I share with you.
Well, I'm here, so let me see.
I'm helping you to understand.
Okay.
First of all, we want to put on record that nobody is doing partisanship or propaganda with this issue. What is happening is that the NDC have passed a dishonest version of the bill for its propaganda value. And it is a principle behind that is what we are exposing and discussing. You see, principles are not seasonal. Prof. Jampo pretended as though he didn't understand what Kofi said. I am going to help you understand. This is what you did. And I'm going to demonstrate for you. Respectfully.
If you invite me, then I'll come in. So you can make your point regardless.
Very well. But respectfully, I'm going to demonstrate to viewers, including Professor Jampo, to see. This is what the NDC did. Alfred, they poured water in a glass cup for us to drink, right? Wanted to force the water through our throat. And we said the water contained impurities and poison. We will not take it. These people never agreed to it. Only for them to make a U-turn, this time around, go and pour the content of the water away and then fill the glass with the fresh water. Pure water. And now they are drinking. And they want us to clap for them. That is what has happened. You see, Prof, respectfully. You see, the old or the original bill was designed to set Ronaldo up and make him look bad. Alfred, you see, when we are in every constitutional democracy, laws are not enacted for mere symbolism or for the propaganda value. What laws are enacted for are to solve real societal problems and not necessarily for political messaging.
Yes.
What these people have succeeded in doing is to, indirectly make the NPP look bad so that Ghanaians will say that, they came to sign the bill. Of course, with the whole idea of pleasing the religious community and of course get the political capital from it.
What do you mean?
But you see, I'm going to explain to you. Laws are enacted to address identifiable social problems and cure specific social mischiefs. If you look at what has happened, what the NDC has done, this law particularly does not really solve any problem.
It doesn't solve any problem.
No, it doesn't really solve any problem. You see, if the mischief that they intended to cure was all about the act, banning the act, then Section 104 of our Act 29 already takes care of it. But you see, they went beyond that during their advocacy. They told us that this law was going to deal on advocacy, deal about promotion, deal about funding, organizational support, public campaigning. They spoke about all those things. And then forced that law on Akufo Addo to sign. But look at the U-turn that they've made. There's significant shift that they've made. Now, if you look at this law, they've made critical exemptions for certain categories of people. If you can go into the act, they've made exemptions for certain categories of people. Now, they are saying that if we're a professional, if we're a lawyer, if we're a lecturer, if we're a doctor, if we're a CSO, if we belong to the international community and certain institutions, you may advocate under the umbrella of your professionalism, and that will not be illegal.
Lawyers, journalists, doctors.
Nobody has a problem with that. But you see, anytime you are discussing this, you have to put it in context. You have to juxtapose this very law with the old one. In the old one, what was the dictate of the old one? In the old one, it had clearly spelled out different orientation and connotation. But you have watered down the impact, and then you would want President Mahamadu to sign.
No, if you say you've watered down the impact, exactly what I just want to I want to identify the watered down impact you're talking about.
Yes, I mean, let me what I'm saying is, I see laws are enacted to address identifiable problems, right? Like I indicated, they are not made just for the propaganda value or just for the symbolism of it. And so at every point, you look at what the mischief that the law intends to cure. In this case, what mischief that is intended to cure? I don't know that there are a lot of laws that we've passed that are really not solving any problems. I give you an example, sanitation laws. I give you another example, even an aspect of the road safety laws. You may go into this anti-vigilantism law, galamsey law. They are all laws that have been passed. But you look at its effectiveness and whether or not they are curing the mischief to which it was intended to solve. At the end of the Prof, you are disturbing me. You realize that these laws are really not solving any problem. And I'm saying that if you look at this particular law in discussion, it had two main motives. The motive was not only to criminalize the act per se, but also there was also an aspect of the advocacy. The advocacy in respect of promotion, in respect of campaigning, in respect of funding and what have you. Because these are the real problems that the earlier laws seek to address. That law was laced with so much hatred that no president could have signed it. And I'm saying that this was the law that Professor Gyamfi and Co, when their party was in opposition, forced through our throat and said Akufo Addo should sign. Today, they have made changes to that law. And I pointed you to some of the changes that they've made. The significant changes, they made exemptions for certain categories of people. I spoke about the professionalism.
Which is here.
In terms of even the liability, the punishment when somebody is held culpable, they've also narrowed the impact of their liability. Some of them, they've reduced as low as to misdemeanor. In terms of the mandatory reporting, initially the previous law, if you are, for instance, a professional, you are a lawyer, you are a doctor, you are for lack, I mean, they hide under the umbrella of confidentiality today, that based on the confidentiality, you are unable to disclose. But the previous law, the old law, you were required to come and make a mandatory disclosure when an LGBT person walks to you. They were forcing Akufo Addo to sign that law, which obviously breached the principles of confidentiality. At that time, they didn't have a problem with it. Today, they've changed that. They've also amended that. And so, what am I saying? The point I'm trying to make is that it's not really about whether or not a law has been passed, but it has more to do with, one, the effectiveness of the law and the consistency. Most of the provisions has been changed. And we want to let Ghanaians know that we are not against the anti-LGBT blah blah or the law per se. But what we are saying is that principles are not seasonal. Earlier, what was put in the law, the provisions of the law couldn't have been signed by Akufo Addo. And if indeed they had intended to sign the same law, they would have just pushed the same document to President Mahama to sign. But they have voted out the impact by removing certain provisions. And
I'm still staying on that part, that if the details in that previous bill, which was presented to former President Akufo Addo, which he didn't sign because of, how used to be put it, how hatred it was laced with. And those same concerns have now been addressed with the amendments and those elements taken out. What's the problem?
The problem is the principles. If you knew it was wrong, Alfred, listen, if you knew this water was wrong, why did you give it to your brother to drink it? The problem is a principle. You knew that the water was laced with poison, but you were forcing it on Akufo Addo's throat, and you weaponized it. Kofi, that is a problem. In 2024, it was weaponized against Akufo Addo and Bawumia. They are against anti-LGBT. They want to promote LGBT. And Akufo Addo and Co, they are friends to LGBT. I saw pictures where they designed Akufo Addo and Bawumia in LGBT colors. And they said that they were against. And they are promoting it. And they are afraid of the international community. Today, you are now giving a hallowed immunity to the international community that they can do their advocacy. You have given a hallowed immunity to the CSOs that they can do their advocacy. Why is it that in the previous bill, when it was passed in Parliament, were you in Parliament? Why is it that when we made every effort to amend it, you remember that time it was 137. They kicked against every effort in amending any of the provisions. They badmouth everybody, walk out of Parliament on many occasions, and they were forcing this same law on Akufo Addo to sign. What has changed? Today, you have reduced the impact of the law. So for me, if you look at what has been passed today, it's almost like an empty law because it literally achieves nothing. Remember the premise of my argument that law at every point is supposed to address a social problem. They should point out the social problem that this law is supposed to serve, aside the fact that it's only giving a propaganda value and showing a symbol that, well, the NDC has passed it. What have they passed? They passed what? Because right now, exemptions are given to this. Because I'm not sure you will stand here on any day and promote LGBT. It takes these same international organizations who may come in an indirect way to promote it. But right now, they've given exemptions to those international organizations. Why? Because they don't want to have problems with their international donors and their partners.
The international organization you're talking about, in what context have these exemptions been given? I think it's important because you reference context. But when you make that wholesale statement that exemptions have been given to the international community, that's actually not the case in the bill.
No, that is the case.
There's a context to which, and I'm going to get into it.
That is the case.
There's a quick intervention that, Prof, just quickly.
No. So my brother here, I thought he said he was making me to understand, but I think
you still don't understand.
No, because see, we have a country to govern. We cannot allow some of these tendencies to continue to fester. You claim that the previous law had certain issues that made it dangerous. Okay.
So why are you forcing it on us? Why were you forcing it on us? When you knew...
You said I was disturbing you, so I kept quiet.
No, but it's not your time.
He's giving me a little of your time, so you let me make my point. You said it had certain contents that made it dangerous. That's a previous bill passed by Parliament, okay, of equal strength at the time. Both NDC, MPP sat and then they passed it. And it went to President Akufo Addo. He didn't sign. And you claim that, and now I understand the reasons why he didn't sign, because you are now insinuating that it had certain contents that were creating some discomfort.
In fact, the main reason for not signing was because there are some court cases.
No, I'm talking about what he is telling me now. It has certain contents or provisions that were creating certain discomforts. Okay, now a new parliament has been constituted, and it looks at this whole bill again with fresh ideas, and then also taking into consideration some of the things that you claim were making the bill, dangerous, and they have factored it into the new bill. And you are saying that that is rather the problem. With the greatest of respect, we all would have to be given the right to change our mind. Okay. On certain issues.
Can I respond?
Please.
Because you are repeating the point.
Let me finish. And so I don't think that...
Finish the point.
I don't think that we can be here governing a country saying that it was wrong yesterday and today someone has fixed it and say, but it was wrong and you shouldn't have fixed it. I mean, so why were you touting the dangers about it? Were you touting it so that we should not...
It should be scrapped.
What should be scrapped?
Alfred.
The whole law.
Alfred.
The whole law.
Alfred.
And well, I mean, speak to Ghanaians because, I mean, this is what Ghana wants.
Your people, your NDC people were co-authors of the sponsoring of that bill. So don't pretend as though it was a bill that was presented by the NPP and was fought.
No, we said it was a joint parliament of equal strength. We said it.
No, you were co-authors of it. So don't pretend it was an NPP thing and it was bad and you came and then you have to change it.
No.
You were the main promoters. a black this guy Sam George. You were the main promoters.
So what does that? So
can I land? You keep interjecting me. You are affecting my flow.
Please go ahead.
You are the main promoters. And you see, what is the point here? The point is that you weaponize that subject matter against the NPP during the 2024 election. You presented and made a case as though it was the best thing that will ever happen to our country. And that it is Akufo Addo who is being the stumbling block of that law. That was the impression that you gave. At that time, didn't you know that it was fraught with some of these irregularities that required amendment?
Gentlemen,
you pretended as though everything was fine.
You are the one saying it.
Your microphones are off. Lawyer Martin Kpebu.
I'm not the one saying it. You made amendments. I'm not the one saying you made amendments.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.